like to proceed with your delegation, you have 5 minutes, and I'll put my finger up at the 4-minute mark just to let you know.
Thank you, Chairperson Wilson, councillors, city staff, fellow Hamiltonians. My name is Miriam Sager. I coordinate the crisis line at SASHA, the Sexual Assault Center, which is a partner to the Just Recovery Hamilton report. I'm also a climate activist, and I see the connection between all these many different issues. I'm lucky enough to have a job, especially as a woman, as we've heard during COVID, a job that's not precarious. It's a job that I can do safely from home. And although it should be a human right, I am lucky to have a home where I can do it. I cannot be evicted as a tenant. I'm not dependent on a landlord to keep my livably cool during the increasingly hot summers I am dreading. I have a key to my castle. This is the base of my autonomy, safety for myself, a place where I could raise a family and maintain custody of my children. When I walk in the door and turn the key, I can breathe more freely. That is, of course, because I am also lucky enough not to be trapped with an abusive family member without the means to leave in an era of soaring rental costs. And as mentioned earlier, I have internet and a voice at this meeting, which every Hamiltonian should have. I try to imagine what it might be like living on the street. I try to imagine not just being a woman, but maybe a trans person, maybe an Indigenous woman or a person with disabilities, knowing that they are targeted by even higher levels of hate and violence, including sexual violence. The constant heightened vigilance, if not terror, not knowing where the next taunt or harassment or assault might come from, constantly calculating, where will I be less unsafe? Who do I smile at? Who is safe to ask for help? Would I trade sex for protection? Would I trade sex for a roof over my head? Do I stand up to my rights if a person in a position of authority wants to talk to me for no reason at all, except for maybe the color of my skin or my visible poverty? If you have special mobility needs, can you even get away from danger? Where will you be stuck or trapped again because of lack of accessibility? Can you get through the piled up snow and ice? Get the medical supports you need when you have no address? Imagine having no washroom you can use. The discomfort, the pain, the indignity and humiliation, the unsanitary conditions. Can you even wash your hands with soap and water as instructed by public health authorities? 1 year ago, I said here that the days of business as usual are over because of the imminent risk of runaway climate catastrophe. Hopefully, the COVID storm will die down, but we will be left with these other crises, which in many cases have both been exacerbated by COVID and worsened the outcomes of COVID for people. The unaffordable housing, the systemic racism, other forms of rising hate and extremism, sexual violence, lack of accessibility for people with disabilities. Too expensive can no longer be an excuse. We actually cannot afford to go back to the old normal. The old normal was a deadly, dead-end path. Perfectly reasonable roadmaps to savings that will not further punish the have-nots were already laid out today. Don McLean spoke clearly just now about the growing urgency of the climate emergency, as rightly declared by our city council almost 2 years ago. We must prepare to adapt, not just mitigate. To become climate resilient, we must deal with the inequities in our city. A chain is only as strong as its most vulnerable links. Thank you. I implore you to seriously consider and implement the urgent short-term recommendations and the long-term recommendations that were made in the Just Recovery Hamilton report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miriam. Members of council, are there any questions? Miriam, thank you very much for your delegation. I personally appreciated how you were able to illuminate the intersectional nature of the issues before us. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Oh, I beg your pardon. We do have a question, Miriam, from Councillor Nan.
Yes, Councillor.
I apologize, and thank you through the Deputy Mayor. Good evening, Miriam. Thanks for coming. And I just wanted to say, giving voice to the daily questions that help expose the living reality for so many of our neighbors who've been made most marginalized prior to this pandemic, and then definitely the growing number of neighbors who are experiencing those questions that you've been asking for us to consider as a council. And yep, that's it. It's stark. It's a reminder that the status quo isn't a status quo that many people in our city get to enjoy and don't have the privilege to enjoy. And that's sitting really deeply for me right now. So I just wanted to say thank you for giving voice to that.
Indeed, thank you. No further questions. Thank you very much again. Have a great evening and be safe.
Thank you, you too.